Hi there, Andy Modeler back. In front of me I have the instruction manual for the radio control model aircraft, the Speed Air from the Black Horse Company. I'm sure that many of you out there will be quite familiar with this design of model aircraft. 4-channel, elevator, rudder, aileron and throttle control, 40-46 glow power plant, or the electric equivalent. Now it is an ARF model aircraft. That's almost ready to fly. In previous videos I've spoken a little bit about how you can do a few improvements to enhance the model, be it its flying characteristics or even its longevity. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about this model aircraft, the hinging methods, what the manufacturers supply for the primary control surfaces. Now it's not just Black Horse manufacturer that supplies the furry hinges that are supposed to be CA glued into the working surfaces. Now let's see what it says here. Okay, many other model manufacturers do the same thing. Okay, it's the diagram showing how the furry hinge should go sunk half into the primary surface, and the working surface also sunk half into that side of it as well. Okay, what does it say? Apply drops of thin CA to the top and bottom of each hinge. Do not use CA accelerator. After the CA has fully hardened, test the hinges by pulling on the ailerons. And there's a warning note, cautionary note here. Make certain the hinges are adequately secured with glue. If they come loose in flight, accidents may happen. You don't say. Right, well, as you may have gathered by now, I am not a great fan of these type of hinges at all. Now, only this year I managed to flat spin a 46 powered model aircraft into the ground. My own fault, nothing to do with any of the hinges. But I was quite surprised on getting to the crash site to find that every single primary surface, to some degree, had pulled out. Okay, now. I'd like to talk about how I go about, even before the model aircraft gets into the air, how I change from the supplied furry CA hinges, how I use and install pinned hinges. Now, if I can just show you, these are a selection of the hinges that I managed to pull. Well, not managed; they were quite easy to come out actually. What I pulled out of the working surfaces of the model that I'm building at the moment. Okay, now I do realise that these were just tack glued into the working surface at the factory, and the rest is up to the modeler to finish off. Now, the reason why am I not a big fan of these hinges at all? Well, there's two reasons. Okay, if I can just take one. Okay, that is tack glued into the, let's say, the rudder. One half of the rudder is tack glued in, ready for the modeler to then push it into the rudder, to the fin of the rudder, and then, as the instructions say, you run thin CA glue and you put half a bottle, whatever, a third of a bottle, however much you want to use. Okay, that once it's set is going to be very, very stiff. Now, if you've got an aileron that's got 4 of these running down the length of it, when you, like I say, the CA glue is set, that is going to be one stiff working surface. The second reason is pretty obvious, the cautionary tale here: if they fail in flight. And if you have a model aircraft that is going on a number of years, I'm very dubious about the integrity of that material. I'm not 100% sure what this material is. It's some kind of, I don't know, mylar with a furry backing, but any material, given enough back and forth movement, will eventually fail. Now, I have got one model aircraft that's over 5 years old and still working on these now. Every time I fly it, I kind of have my heart in my mouth a bit. But anyway, so what do I do when I change these hinges over? Okay, I've got an example here. Any pinned hinge is going to be far superior than the CA furry hinges. Okay, a number of different manufacturers. You'll find them from model shops or internet suppliers. Some are a bit looser than others. Okay, a bit more freer moving, but you're not going to get a bad hinge. All right. So what do? Well, taking the rudder as an example, okay, this is the fin, the back end of the fin. After having pulled the furry hinge out, like I say, that wasn't really in there very easily. Tack glued at the factory with a little bit of work with a knife, that popped out nice and easy. Okay, like I said, I hadn't glued it in. I don't know the integrity or how long it would have stayed in had I glued it. Anyway, I got myself a rat tail file, ground quite thin on one side, so you basically end up with a blade and one side as a file. Work that back and forth, in, up and down, okay, opening the slot up so that when you put the epoxy glue in, it's not going to just keep oozing out when you put the hinge in. Okay, taking your hinge, okay, whatever hinge you use, I use a cocktail stick, a bit of Vaseline. Don't be too shy. Put a fair amount just on the hinge line, back and forth, work it in a bit, okay. Then when you're about to glue the hinge into the surface, before you do that, roughen the surface up on some emery paper or sandpaper, whatever you have, quite rough, not fine, so that it gives it a nice key. Pop that down into the surface. Okay, this is now actually the rudder of the model aircraft that I've already done. 3 hinges there. Alright, that is way freer than any CA glued furry hinge. Okay, and just to show, here is the elevator. Now, I was brought up as a young kid on control line model aircraft. Now, I was always told by people in the know that a surface, any surface, should fall under its own weight. Now, I don't know if you can see this. Okay. Right, I think that just explains it. I think that's because there are only 2 hinges there, and that's falling under its own weight. There is no way that that would fall under its own weight and be so free moving had it be the CA hinge method. Anyway, so that really, I just hope that this has been of some use. Okay, and happy flights. Thanks for watching.